This is a private session for Muay Nation, filmed with Sagat Petchyindee, who now has his gym Thai Boxing Master in Bangkok. So we started out from top to bottom, as he explained. So you start out with punches and then you move to kicks and knees and things like this. But he was very detailed in the way that he was teaching all of his punches. This, just starting out, is how to parry the jab and go over it with your cross. So he parries with it very close to his body and then just steps in with the cross crumbing. It's so fast, and he steps in so hard. He has like extra space even if I decide to kind of step back. So here he's saying not to like turn my cross so much. You just come straight over it. It's all one move. And he wants the elbow in close to the body. So it's to be faster, he's saying. You got to move really fast. Did you see his little shoulder twitch? It's incredible. That's how you do it. So he's saying it depends on the hip. So same as a snake. So it's like a strike. You just kind of like pop over with your parry. So you don't bring your elbow up to parry. You want your elbow very close to your body, and you just parry it very light away from your face and come over it. So you kind of parry it down and pop over with the cross. And there he's like, you can just do two. just hit him twice. He said if you open your elbow, you're not strong. So he's saying not to turn so much on that. Anytime he's showing me how to do something, watch his feet. He like floats. His footwork is incredible. So this is his phrase. He calls it organization. And basically what he means is that everything sets up for the next thing. So 1 sets up for 2, 2 sets up for 3, and you always come back to neutral to be able to throw the next thing. Like you're always ready to throw something. He calls that organization. And here he's showing me how to have my guard up higher. He thought my guard was too low. So see how he keeps his elbow really close to his body, and it all comes from his hip, the turn on his hip, and his shoulder is really loose. So he's like, you punch down a little bit when you come over from parrying. So you need to step in more. He's saying in soccer, if you kick all in one spot, you have no power. But if you take the step to kick, you can punt the ball really hard. So it's the same with your punches and your kicks. And he just kept slapping me because my hand was coming down. So it's just a gentle reminder to keep bringing your guard back. So this was 1-2 followed by a jab. He says Pacquiao does this. But he emphasized that after the jab, you step back. Like you don't drag your back foot forward, so you're able to pull yourself back immediately. So you're not in the way. If you step too much, you kind of leave yourself hanging. So be ready to pull back. He's like, don't step off to the side, because then you can't throw your right afterwards. You go straight. Yeah, so he's doing that little pivot there. He's like, don't do that, because then you can't throw your right. So this is his explanation of organization, of each strike leading to the next one.
Pop, pop, pop. Okay, now you come slowly. You can do pop, pop, pop. More few. See? You can highlight. See? Okay, 1, 2, yeah, pop, pop, pop. Okay.
So he wants my back foot to stay where it was. It's like you nail it to the ground. I keep dragging it, but I can't step back off of that jab if I'm dragging my foot with me. You want it to stay planted where it started. And then if you're going to throw the cross, you drag it. But if you're throwing the jab, you don't. So here for the cross, you have to step for it. So he's saying it depends on your opponent. If your opponent steps back, you step forward. If your opponent doesn't move, you don't want your foot in the wrong spot. You want to be able to stay where you are or go backwards.
Remember why I teach you like that. I teach you mean, okay, what to know.
So he's saying there's a reason for everything he teaches me. The techniques all have a purpose.
Right. Okay. And come to up part, elbow, up mara, yeah. Five walk, then do after come to me. And the kick, come to outside.
So he's telling me I was going to break everything down piece by piece.
And change back. Stick like that.
So look at his feet. This is how he steps back off of the jab.
Yeah. Must stay like that, okay? Because you have to go. Yeah, right. Come to the move. Pop, pop, boom. Come back. Right. Pop, pop, pop. See? Right.
His spacing is incredible. He's actually like his Street Fighter character in that it's like his spacing has all been programmed. He's never the wrong distance. Like everything he does is the perfect distance for what he's trying to do. So here you go 1, 2, step back, and then you have to come straight forward again. So it's being able to rebound off what you're doing. Everything is for the next move. So he's saying that you have two plans, and it just depends on what your opponent does. If they step back, you have a plan. If they step towards you, you have a plan. He doesn't like my elbows coming up. I don't keep them tight to my body. He's saying there's no power when you punch wide. He says there's no power like that. So I make fun of myself and say it's not a chicken fight. He likes that. He keeps saying this. He says, how feel? And he means like, how does it feel? When you do something right, you check, how did that feel? And you should feel more power, or you should feel what was right about it so that you can remember and do it again. Here he's trying to show me the angle of the punch so that I can keep the elbow in tight and still get power. I was overturning my fist, basically, which is why my elbow pops up. Or maybe it turns because my elbow pops up. So he's talking about how to keep your guard up by your eyebrows. He keeps his right hand up really high when he's punching. See how he can just come straight in because he's guarded? If you keep your hands down by your chest, you can't come in. It's too dangerous. So on that jab, he does not want my back foot coming behind me, and he doesn't want it dragging. So see how he steps forward with his forward foot and basically keeps his back foot pinned or drags it depending on how much space he needs. So there he's saying that your opponent can come in too. Like, you need to prepare for what your opponent's going to do as well. It's not all one-sided. So there he's just testing my guard. But look at his feet when he's throwing that jab. He's like, no problem. If you have your guard up, no problem. You don't even have to move. So he's doing these combinations in order to work on the spacing and footwork. You can see how I pull my right leg, my back leg behind me on that jab. I've been taught how not to do that, and because I'm concentrating on all the things he's teaching me, I'm totally doing it wrong. So you want to step out with your lead leg instead of pulling your back leg back. So now he's teaching me how to jab the body, and he's showing how to parry the body jab and attack on top of it. It's very much the same as parrying the jab up top, but you just have way more opportunity to slam someone in the face because their arm is down. So see, he parries down with his right hand and just comes over. But again, don't put your elbow up. He's showing me the angle. He's saying if you try to punch from the outside of your arm, like your tricep basically, there's no power. You want to be punching from your lat. So if you overturn, you're using the wrong muscles. If you keep your elbow close to your ribs and pivot out with your hip, you're using your lat and your hip, and that's a lot of power. See the angle he's doing. Look at how straight. You can see when I'm punching, my elbow and my arm come outside my body and then try to land at the center of him. He pulls everything straight, so it's just coming straight out from his body. There's no excess movement at all. It's so fast and quick and and strong. He wants me to feel it. He's like, how does that feel? And I can't fully feel the difference, but watching it from here, I can see the angles of his body. So this is his famous tiger uppercut. And he's not hitting me hard, but there's so much power behind it. And he's like, you don't punch up. He's like, you're not this close. This isn't boxing. So you punch out. It's like an upward facing jab or cross. It comes out, whereas I keep going up. The angle of mine is coming up. And so he's trying to correct that. He really wants it to come out. He's like, your opponent's face is here. They're not up here. So you come out. Look how long. I keep going up because I'm like, it's an uppercut. It goes up. But from here, like from the camera, you can see the angle of his. It was harder for me to see from standing with him. But you can see it in this video, how much he comes out. See there, I'm just coming up. I can't help it. I think of going up, and that's like a boxing uppercut. So that one's totally upward angle. And he's actually trying to get me to make it longer by adding that cross, because you're at a distance for the cross. So you can't crunch yourself with an uppercut and the cross. Your opponent's not going to be at two different spaces.
Everything organized, everything is safe. Job safe, job safe.
So he's saying organization, drop, safe. So he's like, you punch and then protect. Strike, protect. Like everything comes back to your protection. It's like a syncopated rhythm with protection and offense. There.
Come back here.
So there, he wants me to keep that back foot back. I keep dragging it. Pull it back. He's like, don't wait for your opponent to hit you back. Look how pretty. Oh, that footwork is insane. And he's so loose up top. So he's like, if you've gone back already, you've already protected yourself, so then it's offense again. Whereas I kind of like freaked out because I wasn't sure of my position. So here he's talking about the guard again, and this is so cool. He staggers his arms. So he has 2 layers of protection all the time. See, he put my left arm in front of my face. See how he's staggering his arms? So that if you get past the first one, he's got something behind it. He's like, go ahead and try it. And I can't hit him because he's created this like layered like thorn bush that you have to get through to get to him. And it's long. Like he's not keeping everything on his face. He actually is pushing it out really far, but because it's staggered, you can't get to him. He's saying that whoever's trying to punch you can actually break their hand if they're hitting your elbow or a wrong angle or something. So he's showing how from all the different angles you're still protected with your arms out like this. Look how far out that goes. Out. And his elbow is coming straight from his body out towards me. I'm just going up. So here he starts manipulating my arm the way he wants it to go. See how it goes straight down and then out like a piston? See, I'm pulling it back. I'm like recoiling too much and loading it. He just pops it back and out. And it's the movement of his shoulder that would come off of an opposite side punch or movement. Like it's very natural to the constant movement of fights. It's just isolated here, so it looks like you're loading it. So my right one is a little bit longer because of my natural hip positions from my orthodox stance. So my right one was coming out longer, but I could not get my left one to do what he needed it to do. So there you can see the difference when he shows up versus out. So loose. And strong. He says you don't need to tense. So he's like, be relaxed. See how his punch starts from a very neutral position. He doesn't pull it super far back and he doesn't rotate back. It comes from like the stance that he's in. He says it's the same as a jab.
stab,
It's
but
long.
didn't stab.
Yeah.
So your elbow almost comes to like your belly button, but he pulls it to the side of his body, but it's angled in. It's very tight, but not tense. So he said move past, and I finally got it that I actually need to aim past where his hand is, like go past the target, and that got it a little bit longer. So then he wants me to stand outside of him a little bit. See how he's like stabbing my chin? He's like, your opponent isn't right above your head. Don't punch like Ryu. It's not the like, Hadouken, like jumping up. You gotta punch like Sagat. Look how long. And he's so safe back there. Look at his hip when he throws it. Boop. He says it's the same as if you have a knife. And then protect.
And curve up. Straight. Not up. Yeah. Yeah, straight.
It's longer.
Because I see you. You go
So
straight,
see
not up,
from the
not up.
camera angle, you can see what he's doing versus what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Longer. So here he's showing how you can hook around someone's guard. He goes like clean around my guard, and he just touches my chin, but it is so hard and like, do not touch me. Oh man, you would knock someone out with that. It's like a fishing hook, just comes all the way around. So he was showing me don't cock it back with your elbow, because you get the same trajectory, the same distance covered, but one goes through the target and the other one basically dies on the target. See how he goes through? He's like, don't do a half arc, do a full arc. See there, it just stops, and there he's showing how to go through. He says your elbow should stop at your mouth. So when you're done with the punch, you should be looking across your own elbow, basically. So it goes past your own head. But it comes straight up from the ribs. You don't come out first. I'm coming out a little bit, so I'm like taking way too much time and more space than I need. That one came more up. Here, he's showing just start from here and go past. The trajectory is from right where you are, past. He's like, don't load up. Look at that, how it comes straight from his ribs. So I'm actually better at the double, because when you do a double, you don't wind up on the second one because you're just coming straight back. So training with a double is a really good idea, because the second one is probably better form in terms of the minimal movement. Look at where his elbows are when he punches. Like, they come out of his ribs. And he just moves with his hips, and his shoulders are very loose and just go side to side, but all the power is from his feet and his hips.
Like that. Rock. Knee. Open my station.
Is that back foot dragging again? Even when he's just walking around me, you can see his footwork. So it's that spacing. Look at his feet. It's like sliding. It's all perfectly measured. So he's saying you watch your opponent and just move with them. See how he's cutting off the ring with very minimal movement on his own part, but I've got nowhere to go. He says, don't follow. Don't just chase like that. My elbow's popping out again. So this is the good thing about filming yourself, is that you get to see it from a different vantage point. Like when you're actually interacting with someone, you can't see yourself and you can't fully see what they're doing. But so he's saying, oh God. So he's saying filming it, you can see the whole thing. Look at how close he gets. Oh my God, that's so much power. And he's not like foreshortening himself. He's not like cramming himself. He can totally go through. He liked the turn on that front leg. So he's saying step through more on the right hook. Like, see how his foot comes outside my back leg when he does that? Oi! Yeah. So if your elbow is in front of your mouth, you're guarded there. My angle is coming down, so I'm kind of open at the end of that. So you snap back like that. See how tight, like not tense, but tight all his movements are. Nothing comes outside his center. Like everything comes from the sides of his body to the center and then through it. So it's this tiny little pullback for the power. It's like a pool cue.
It's like when you're playing snooker.
Yeah, right.
You have to come back up.
Mm.
It's not like a wind up. It's just a little switch.
But it comes straight back. It's not like an out to the side thing. Otherwise, you don't have a straight shot. No, it's showing how if you were stabbing someone and you didn't like get a little jab on it, like that's not good. You gotta like do the full stab. So strong. Out. See the difference there between those two? It's like a 8-inch difference. He's like, this is your opponent, not up there.
If you're already not punching.
Not the cross. You uppercut the cross? No.
He's like, don't uppercut God. So when he's pulling back that little like pull cue pop back, it's straight back to his body. You can see that I'm turning. Watch my shoulders and you can see I'm overturning. It like comes outside my hip, whereas his comes to his hip.
steady for. If you're not steady, like that, that's stop. Up. Ah, how feel? Of course.
That's the power from footwork that he's talking about there.
Up.
See how he comes across, but his feet don't move. He's saying don't come out and over. Come from where you are past.
The rainbow,
So he's talking about how a rainbow is like one arc. He's saying don't jump between rainbows, like don't make two arcs by coming out first. You just go from the center over and you can have like this really long, powerful arc. He's showing how if your arm comes out first, you finish on your target, whereas if it doesn't come out first, you finish through your target. Oh, that's so pretty. Watch his feet there. My elbow's still coming out.
Okay, right there.
It's like don't finish on the chin, finish through the chin.
Yeah. Boom, boom, right. Boom, boom, boom.
They're still going up. So even though he's holding his hand right above me, I should go through the target and make that a long uppercut. So here he puts on the belly pad and he has me doing these body digs, but he's actually still teaching me that uppercut. You're just hitting to the body, because his uppercut is not so much upper, it's outer. It's like this upward facing punch. So here again, I'm coming outside way too much. He's like, if you have a knife and you make a swipe, you're not really going to stab someone. You have to go straight. Look at his hips and the angle of his body when he does it. And then when he manipulates my arm, you can see how it comes straight back. And I keep pulling it to the side, coming outside our bodies in order to get a hook on it. He learned English in Australia, so his pronunciation of straight sounds Australian, but he just keeps telling me straight, 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 and he means both it coming back and it coming out to hit the body. See how he floats in on his... There, see, he's pulling my elbow in. He's basically giving me a bumper, so I can't go outside of it. And you can see when he steps towards me, I adjust my feet immediately, which means that I'm not comfortable with this angle, which is why I'm coming out with my elbow, is to like make these adjustments because I'm uncomfortable. But see how he just comes straight? He's like, don't come around. It's exactly the same as his uppercut to the face. It's just going to his body. You can see with my shoulders and my elbow how it's coming out. So I'm leaning forward, which he shows me later you don't have to do, but I'm just trying to get power. But because I'm pulling my elbow so far back, I have to lean forward to get the power. If I just came in with my hips, I wouldn't have to lean. So he's showing how easy it is to get out of the way when you curve it. So it's just clipping because it's like a slash rather than a stab. Look how straight that is.
Okay. Like that. Okay, good.
Still popping my elbow out. I'm starting to get my hip a little bit though. That's why there's power, even though the form is a little bit off. So my elbow should actually be coming like into my own belly.
Never big like that. Because you're not boxing. Boxing can.
So here, he's showing the difference between boxing and Muay Thai, and most people learn the hook and body dig and uppercut for boxing. But he's showing how you're not in that position in Muay Thai ever. So you make these adjustments. Like this is why he has this long uppercut. Look how straight. And his elbow is just coming straight to his hip. And see his hips? He says make a V, not an L. So you don't turn. He's saying if I give you a knife, I'm putting a knife in your hand. Now stab me. It's like I put the knife in your hand. Stab me. And this is when I finally got it. Is that if you picture holding a knife and you stab with your wrist turned as though you're stabbing someone,
Actually angles your
like that.
Yeah.
So you're not actually going to be hitting with the side of your hand. It just corrects the angle. So you think I'm going to be hitting with the side of your hand, but then you don't. You actually hit with your knuckles.
Because I curved it.
But you make straight. I cannot check that.
So get real stabby. Now that I'm stabbing, it's more straight. There, he tried to get out of the way and couldn't because I was finally going straight. So see, I have to step outside of him a little bit. Step first. Ah, look at his feet and his hips. So here he's showing me your head doesn't dive in. See how his head stays? So you come in with your hip, not your head. So he's showing how if I curve it, not only can he move his butt out of the way so I miss, but he can catch it. So it's like a parry. But if you go straight, you're going to hit before he can avoid it. So he's still hitting my hand, but I've already gotten him by the time he intercepts it. There I'm starting to dive in with my head a little bit. It's got to come from your hip. That'll make it longer as well. So he's moving his body to give me an opening on each side, and for some reason I'm moving my body to adjust, whereas he's already adjusting for me, so I should be staying pretty much in the same position, which I'm starting to do there. Him adjusting the pad means I'm getting more power. That's good. You can see on that left side, my elbow still comes out too much. You gotta think stab, stab, stab. So he's showing how you know where to punch when someone's punching you down like that. Like he doesn't have to think about it. He just responds by hitting. So that's why you have to bring your guard back up. And he's showing here, if you keep one side up, you still have an eye open. So you can see, but you just keep one side guarded. It's like, quit opening your elbow, Sylvie. Just go straight. There! Like that.
It's a matter of it coming back straight.
Yeah,
Not
alright.
coming like this.
Yeah.
It has to come back straight.
Yeah.
Like
Stand by
a
the hip.
sword in it.
Yeah.
So it's like sheathing your sword is what I was trying to say there.
Yeah.
Long half. Okay. Okay. It's up.
So there I lean with my left more. That should be coming from my hip. It's more of like a lancing forward kind of thing.
If you come here, not here. Have to come here. Okay. Okay, come. Okay, come. Okay, come.
So it's just even a small curve and he gets out of the way really easily. But there that was more straight, so he couldn't get out. So I'm telling him how relaxed he is. And he shows me how relaxed he can be. You know, just strolling around and stabbing people.
Relax, relax.
Like nobody would see that. He got way into it. He was like, yeah, I stabbed you like 10 times, just strolling around. Pop.
That's for the yard.
Stab me, then people start freaking out and you're like, oh, let me come help. Nobody saw it.
Okay, yes. All right.
See, the right comes from the hip. Left one comes out. I don't know what that is. I think it's because my foot is too far inside. I think here I'm asking him, should my left foot be more outside? And he's like, yeah, a little bit. Straight, straight, straight.
Okay, like that.
So like intellectually I understand that it's supposed to come back straight, but actually getting the feel for that is really hard. So go slow, use a mirror. And guard. So this was really hard. Here he was having me change my stance and move backwards and throw those body punches. My form totally disappeared in trying to do this exercise, but this is showing the context in which you can use it, which is when someone's coming towards you and you just take a step back and throw the punch. So that's why you're changing stance, is because you're responding to their forward movement. And by him walking forward, his open side is changing sides. So that's why I step back and change stance, is because whichever leg is back is your strong side.
Because you come here. You don't come here. All right? See? Come here. Okay? You got not boxing, right?
So my form is crap, but this exercise is really good.
Come.
See how you can actually see my elbow being not straight when it comes behind me? And my head is leaning forward again. But there, got some length on it, so that's good.
Okay, now. I will need you upstairs. Downstairs.
So there, he's just talking again about how you break everything down bit by bit. He's like, watch the videos and redo it, learn it. So he understands that you can learn from this video.
Now,
So we're working on hooks from left to right. You can see you can see in the technique, even though I got some good power there, I'm not coming from my hips, I'm coming from my shoulders. So this requires a lot of effort for me. He comes from his hips and his feet, so he's very fast, and it doesn't take a lot of effort. See how he turns way past his target there? And then because he's turned, when he comes back for the opposite side, there's a lot of power in it. It's like, relax. Just do it like this. See how he goes past? So your elbow with your mouth is what he's saying. Your elbow should come across. So watch the feet. The video was down towards the feet. You got to see the pivoting. So the elbow is in line with my mouth, so I'm coming past the target. And I'm pivoting on my feet, but it's not reaching my hips. It's like my feet move and my arms move, but there's this like dead spot in my hips. I got good power on those because I finally rotated my hips, but I'm not loose. So here he makes the target much closer to me, and that makes the angles of my elbows better, I think, to come through the target. You can see how my feet are moving and my shoulders are moving, but my hips won't go. A little bit. Whereas even him holding the pads, his hips are moving. Like, he's doing the form holding the pads. So here he starts, see how that elbow comes straight in? So we actually went backwards for a second here and went back to punching because he stopped to wrap my hands with wraps that he had. He didn't like my wraps. So now he's doing punching again so that I can feel how my punches feel different with the wraps that he did. So he's like, don't push the punch, snap. He's saying like a snake. So in order for you to be able to step forward and jab straight with your elbow not coming out, your front foot has to step wide. It can't come straight. I'm angling in order to reach him because I'm stepping too far in. Like, I'm too sideways, basically. So now we get back to the elbow. Look at how much he steps. Look at his front foot basically coming to my back foot. So my elbow was coming out. My elbow comes out the same way it does on punches, but his just comes straight forward and then through the target. It's really short, but you cover a lot of distance with your step. See how it comes straight out from his shoulder? He doesn't come around with it first. So I'm coming around first. It's the same thing. It's the same form where your elbow should not come outside your body first. It just comes straight up and through. It's an incredibly short elbow, and the distance is covered with stepping forward and going through the target. Oh, he goes through it. See how like all the distance is covered past the target, not meeting the target. Watch his feet, his hips, and where his elbow comes from. He goes past it. there. He showed don't pop it out. Ugh. You can see the difference. Like when he just did his, he almost turned his back to me, whereas I didn't rotate all the way around. Like I kind of died on the target. When I do it in air, just there, it's actually better than when I'm hitting the pad.
Okay. This you know now. You know what about that?
So my right one is coming across. And you can see the pivot on my back foot. My left one I need to step much closer. See how close he gets? Damn. He's like, don't worry about being so close because you have your guard up. So see how he just puts his elbow up and walks into me? Like, that sucks, dude. He's so protected. See that little turn of his shoulder? Pop. So it's fast. There's like not even a beat between the punch and the elbow. It's very, very fast. So everything is in the center and then goes past the center through the target. You don't come to the center from the outside. You like that one? See how he goes through? Like he could actually keep turning and do a reverse elbow out of that every single time. So here is just a jab and right elbow. So your right elbow is your cross, kind of.
Okay, good one. That's it. See? You don't come from about you come from America, Thailand. No, you're Thailand.
So he's making fun of me winding up the elbow and coming wide. He's like, don't come from America to Thailand. Go Thailand to Thailand. It's short distance. Pattaya to Pattaya. Short distance. Oh, look at that turn. It's like, stay close to Pattaya. Don't fly all the way home and come from America. So again, it's that when you train doubles, the second one is probably going to have better form in terms of the movement, like not coming back too far. See how much he steps in to get that upward elbow? He's basically putting his hips right on my hips almost. And see how he's straight from his foot to his knee to his hip to his elbow is all one line. Like they're not off a line. So his body turns a little bit. And his foot, his front foot, steps right into my feet. So the elbow has to be, like the arm needs to be more collapsed, and you basically slick your hair back with your hand. It should go behind your ear. And then the power comes from stepping in much deeper than I'm doing. When you step in and your elbow goes up by slicking your hair, if you do that at the same time, the power is really intense and you're really close. So it's nasty. See how he goes through? And the turn, he's not like rotating, he's stepping in and his shoulder comes up. again, he's saying you don't want your elbow coming from America, so he's like, you don't wind up by putting your elbow back first. You come from where you are and go up, like past the target. I've got space issues, so I'm totally not standing, like stepping close enough, but you can see when he does it how close he steps. That's what you should be doing. You should be like taking up someone's space in a phone booth. Really, really close.
You walk like that, you see? One eye you can see.
So he's like, you're blocking, but you can see out of your other eye. So you're protected.
Hup, okay. Hup. Hup, hup, hup.
So he's saying
Okay,
past.
hup.
I should be going past the target.
Yeah, hup, hup, okay, hup, hup, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hup, 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 okay, good. Hup, hup,
So I'm turning with my hip on the left one, but not stepping.
hup, okay.
Should be a little bit of both.
Hup, hup, yeah.
It's very short. So it feels like you're not
You
putting
move.
any power
You
on
close
it.
with your hip.
It feels when he does it, it feels like scissors. It's just like, so like
So what I'm trying to say there is that when you hit the pad, it doesn't feel like a thud, either from the pad holder or from you. It's not this like thud, thud elbow. It's like a little snicked, like it's gonna cut.
that like relentless not coming. Like this one's here.
So here's that guard he was talking about. You have one eye open.
Very like Master K's helmet.
My old teacher, Master K, would say create a cage over your head with your elbows. So your palms and your gloves go up on top of your head, and your elbows are at like chin and eye level. It's kind of like a umpire's cage face helmet thing. So here we get into what he calls downstairs, which is lower body, so kicks and knees. And he hated my kick, which admittedly was not good at this moment. It took him a second. He's telling me the same as everything I've been doing. He's like, don't come wide. You basically come with your leg coming straight forward, and then you turn it over right before you hit the target. It's the same as every other strike he's been talking about. So it's very straightforward, and then hook past the target at the last second. I was going way too wide. I was like swinging like this Hail Mary hook kind of thing. So you use your hip to drive through the target. So when I kick, when I land on him, my knee is actually past the center of his body a little bit. So here what he wanted me to do, he'll show me, but you turn your knee down and basically pull the person who caught your kick in. You have to do that really, really fast. You don't want them to get a super great grip. But if you do it right away, you can grab them behind the neck like this, and then because I'm small, he wants me to jump up, and they can't kick your leg out. So he didn't like how I came off of that kick. He's like, organization, when you come down, you want to be in a position to do your next thing. So when you're working on a technique, how you land off of it is part of that technique. You need to train that. So now he's adding doubles again to like train how you come down and back into something. So he has like a sideways teep. See how he turns his standing foot, and then he's actually teeping with his foot sideways? And he's showing me why, is that when you teep with your foot upright, your heel can be hooked. It's hard to catch a leg in a glove, but you can catch a heel pretty easily. So he says you turn sideways a little bit so that it slips right out. So he's going to try to catch it when you go sideways, and it slips. So he specified this is for the front teep. The front teep, you go a little bit sideways. With the back teep, it's really strong, so you can do whatever you want to do. And he wants you to lean back a little bit because you're coming off the jab, so you're at a range where they can strike you. So you lean back a little bit to protect yourself and teep them off. And then here, he wants me to hit with the balls of my feet. I was hitting with my whole foot. So you make contact just with the ball of your foot, but sideways. And then he's messing around. I did not knock him down with that. So off of your jab, you need to turn your standing foot sideways a little bit in order to get your hip for the sideways teep, and then don't fall off of it. So he says organize for 2. So bring your foot back in front so that you can teep again. So again, he's saying with the back foot, you can teep forward. You can teep however you want. It's a lot of power, so they're not really going to be able to catch it so much. And then when you come off of the teep, you want that foot in front of you so that you can be in your regular stance to throw your next thing. If you're in southpaw stance, either switch or throw something that you can throw from southpaw stance. So see how close he is on that kick? Like, it almost doesn't require a step forward because he's already so close from punching first. And then he just comes straight forward and turns his hip at the last second. And here I couldn't figure out what he was upset about. Took me a second, but it's because I'm like bouncing off of the kick. I'm like flicking it. So he's saying go through your target. Like, lean into it. It's like don't pull your kick and snap it. There. So you like, same thing, you go through your target. That was so good. I got a high five, guys. That one was good. So there, again, he's like, don't wind up. You want to go through the target. So he's like, kick to the other side of me. So he's like, now even closer. So my knee, when I'm kicking, when I land, it's a little bit past the center of his body. So he's talking about the power of the kick, and he's like, if your opponent isn't scared of your kick, they're going to block it or catch it or whatever. But if you kick hard, your opponent's going to be scared of your kick, and they're not even going to want to block it. So he's like, you kick hard to intimidate your opponent, basically. There's no, like, tap point scoring here. It's about intimidation, letting them feel that kick so they don't want to catch or block it. So here for the front leg kick, he doesn't want a huge switch, but he wants you to really push your hip through. So this is like what he was teaching with the other strikes, where you start from the center, and then all of your actual trajectory is going through the target to the other side. So when you do a front leg kick without a huge switch in stance, you want to keep your shoulders in the center and then go past the center. So he was the Ram Muay champion. So he got an award for best
that's
Ram
right,
Muay
yeah.
for 11 years. His Ram Muay is incredible. And so here he's saying that I can come learn his Ram Muay, and that I can bring Petchyindee and he'll teach her too. And he's saying that he saw her fight in a province a little while ago, and so I'm telling him she's fighting on TV this month. This is how Muay Thai news spreads. It's people just talking to each other during bad work. So he's a very, like, everything down the center is his technique. So it's very forward center. You have to be solid in the center, and then you just come straight down the center of your opponent.
Every time you want to kick one, you want to kick two. You want to kick two, you want to kick three. Right? Yeah?
Here he's talking again about how you plan for the next thing. So everything links to the next strike. So when you kick, you think what your next thing is going to be. I'm going to kick twice. I'm going to kick and then I'm going to punch. Always be ready to do the next strike. So use your hip to drive the power there. So he didn't like my knee. He wanted me to do this kind of bow-legged, wider knee. So he's saying why he doesn't like the straight knee, and he's showing how you just shove someone straight off, because they're coming straight, so their body is squared up, and you just shove them right off. Whereas the knee that he wants, it's a little bit bow-legged, and it kind of comes from the side, but it goes to the center. And it's kind of like when you throw a cross and your head comes off center line. That's what's happening in the knee. So you actually don't even have to collapse your leg as much as you do for that, like, center knee. It can be a little bit open, but your hips are open, like your knees are bow-legged. And you can see here from that angle how my body is off center from the center of his body. I'm like offline, but the knee is still coming to the center of his body. See there, he's showing how it comes around. Do you see the difference? How he's like, he's kind of coming from the side to the center, but he doesn't wing out. So this is one of knees. This is not like the knee as opposed to other ones. What's kind of nice about this one is that you're off center, which is good. But then because you don't collapse your legs so much, your heel doesn't have to come up towards your butt as much as it does in that super straight one, the like C-op where you push your hip so much. You can come off of this one for the next strike and be on balance for the next thing a little bit more easily. Here he's showing not to over-rotate when you come off of it and not to put your heel as high up towards your butt. You don't have to pinch your leg shut as much as in the other ones. So the heel actually comes out a little bit. Your heel is outside your hip, which angles your knee in, which is why you're still kneeing straight, even though your hip is open.
Okay, then.
So you can see my heel is outside my hip a little bit when I do that. But you don't have to pinch the leg closed as much. He's so fast. It's because everything's straight and then just goes through. See the twitch of his hip there? He wants me to push with my hip. In Thailand, they call it closing your hip. So in the U.S., we say like turn your hip over. In Thailand, when your trainer says close your hip, that's what they're talking about. So same as with the teep, when I come off of that left knee, my foot should be in front of me, like right where it was before, so that I can throw the next thing.
The Petchyindee, yeah.
There's a fighter in the north named Petchyindee La who knees like this. If you see his knee when he does it on the corner, see how his standing leg is off center. So you're actually outside your opponent's foot when you do that. So there, he's showing how to go through. So you drive with your hip and your standing foot, you got to get up on your toe. And here he's like, don't over rotate when you come off. My foot on my right leg after it knees should not go behind my front foot.
I need you again, but this you cannot.
He's like, if you put your foot back, you can't throw the next knee. It's the same thing at the beginning when he was showing me the like jab, cross, jab. You don't want to pivot your body.
Okay. On, right. Okay. Left jab, left knee, left jab, left knee, right knee. Okay. Be careful. We don't know what about you carry oh you want to die, what you got. Like that, lose time.
So what he's saying there is that you never know what your opponent's going to do. Maybe they look like they're going to die, like they're just totally getting their butt kicked or they're exhausted, but then they throw something kind of Hail Mary style, and if you don't have your guard up, you can be very unlucky. So his moral is that your guard, your block, and your defense is part of the organization of your strikes. So every strike you throw, come back to a guarded position. He taught me the proper high five coordination there. So here we're going through everything that we've worked on previously and linking it together. And the thing about doing something at the beginning of training and then doing something at the end of training that's the same is that you're tired at the end of training. So at the beginning, your mind is like really paying attention to what you're doing and getting the technique. But at the end of training, a lot of it is muscle memory. And you're kind of forced to be more relaxed doing it. So it's really good to train this way. I'm actually faster in responding to him now than I was at the beginning. Because at the beginning, I was in the like training mode of really trying to figure out the technique of what he's saying. I'm still making the same mistakes, but I'm more cognizant of them and can kind of respond to what he's asking of me faster.
Okay.
There, so that
Okay.
the uppercut is coming out more. Trying to keep my elbows in more. See, that's coming out. That's good.
Boom, boom. Boom, boom. Yeah, faster now. Back, look, boom. Back,
So again, it's that footwork that we worked on earlier. And my response time is just faster. He's less corrective. Now he just wants me to feel it.
One, two. One, two. One, two. One, five. Oh, yes, sir. One, two. One, four. Yeah.
He liked my long guard there. But see, I still brought my back foot forward. So he caught that. He's like punishing my foot for sliding forward. Let's pin it back. The elbow's coming out there. So here he's showing me how he wants the arm to come out. He doesn't want me to rotate it. It's not a corkscrew. So I actually stopped turning it at all and just let my hip rotate the hand a little bit. And he liked it right there. So I don't think turn over and hit on those knuckles. Instead, I just used my hip and the turn happened more naturally. And I think the power was much better on it. I think that's what he liked. So he just graded me. He said, now I have an A, but when I first got there, I was a C. Elbows out. So here it's now it's putting more flow into all of the technique. He talked to me about organization and kind of showed it to me the entire session, and now it's just doing it and kind of feeling it. That elbow's got to be much closer to the body. Straight. So when I pull my elbow back, it shouldn't actually go past my hip. It should go like into my hip. So elbow to the mouth. I didn't come back to block, but because my elbow was in front of my mouth, I was guarded. So he's showing how that worked. He's like, your elbow's there already, so you're already guarded. You can see I'm coming through, but I'm not pivoting on my front foot there. So he said one more round. He said all these rounds have been for me, for the student, but the final round is for the trainer so that he can see everything. And he's saying he never teaches his students something useless. He's like, I never teach them something stupid. Everything has a reason. He says he has more than 300 fights.
I play loot every time.
When I young, when I baby, I play.
Yeah.
Your character, Sagat.
Very hard. Me too. I want to beat Sagat. I want to beat myself.
Yeah.
He said he couldn't beat Sagat on Street Fighter either when he tried to play
We
it.
have in Bangkok both from
And then the Bangkok Post ran a story on him, and he's asking me if I'd seen it or when it was going to be published, and I told him it's published already.
Photo, right?
Yeah, you can find it online.
Oh, yeah, they do second time, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is his final assessment diagnosis round at the end.
Everything you want to organization, right? Organization.
Look at his hips and his feet. That is unreal.
Every time it stop, right? Okay. One.
So my uppercut is still trying to come too far up. Needs to come out. You can hear it's a little bit louder in the background, and that kid getting the massage. The Thai fight team had showed up. He's the trainer of the fight team.
Okay.
See how his elbow comes straight back, and then his hand angles in, so it's to the center of my body. And he uses his hip to drive it forward. It's very much like a pool cue.
Okay, good. Oh, okay. Now bring it 1, 2, 3, 4. Up, boom. Up, boom. Boom. Okay. Then, up, okay.
So I was concentrated really hard on this 4-punch combination, but it's actually in the feet. So I was thinking about my hands and neglected my feet, which is why I kept getting it wrong. If I'd just worked on the footwork, it probably would have come out straight.
One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4 now. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey! Then,
So his footwork, I was telling him how light he is on his feet versus how heavy I feel. Look at his tiny, tiny movements. That's all power and like perfect distance all the time. It's so pretty. Dragging my foot. See, he was saying that I was lifting it. So he wants that back foot to just kind of drag behind. It keeps contact. He said, don't up your foot. Like, don't lift your foot. You just pull. So you jab up top, and then you jab the body. And he hits me to show me that you got to lean back. See how he keeps his foot planted, and then the other foot steps in? And I figured out it's the same as the teep he asked, where you're kind of sideways and you lean. So there I keep moving my planted foot, which is why I don't know where I'm going to end up. He points to it, and then I plant my foot, and it's... So like my right foot stays planted, and the left one pivots out to get me the angle I want. So here he's showing how you can control everything from having a good base on your back leg. People with really good back leg balance are really good teepers. So when you're good at planting your back leg, your front side attacks are really good. So here, going back to the parry. So when he does it, he kind of floats over it more, whereas I'm doing more of a step. His is more of a float. It's very long. So I'm doing much better on the elbow coming in front of my mouth on that hook, but you can see that I'm not pivoting from my feet and my hips. It's from the shoulders, so the power isn't what it could be. His comes from his hips. That was incredible. So I hit him with my elbow when I was doing the hook, and he's saying that's okay. Like if you miss with your hook and they're too close, you just hit them with the elbow. So it's the same motion. So he's saying come across, come through. And it's the same as the elbow.
Remember video game?
So again, it's that my feet are moving and my shoulders are moving, but not my hips. When you see him, his shoulders completely rotate because it's coming from his hips. So this is not typical of many gyms that you're going to be coming to, but if you ever want to give respect to your teacher when you're leaving or for a special occasion or Y Crew Day, that's how you Y Crew in Thailand. So he had me do that at the end. He's a really, really good detailed teacher.